Good morning. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and it's great to see you here this morning. Let's start our celebration service by standing up. And so it is, and so we allow it to be as we breathe deeply and move into that graciousness and spaciousness that Jennifer gave us with her beautiful words. Let us relax, let go, and listen to the words of our sacred reading.
A poem by Rumi. Not Christian or Jew or Muslim, not Hindu, Buddhist, Sufi or Zen, not any religion or cultural system. I am not from the East or the West, not out of the ocean or up from the ground, not natural or ethereal, not composed of elements at all. I do not exist, am not an entity in this world or in the next, did not descend from Adam and Eve or any origin story. My place is placeless, a trace of the traceless, neither body or soul. I belong to the beloved. I have seen the two worlds as one, and that one I call to and know. First, last, outer, inner, only that breath-breathing human being.
And so together we relax into the knowing of the breath breathing each of us, and the collective breath breathing the whole planet. As we do, we remember our beingness, that we are also that timeless spacelessness, the truth of our existence. We remember who we are. And so we sing together, knowing that I am is the name of this absolute reality, this non-dual presence that encompasses all things. And we remember the truth of our existence for ourselves and for all beings everywhere. As we sing together, I am remembering who I am.
Good morning.
Thank you.
This is called Heart on Fire. This quiet fire is starting to roar. My mind's excuses lie crumpled on the floor. The illusion of normal is beyond my reach. Fear is gone, and now I let silence teach. My heart is on fire. I give it all to you. It burns with desire to let this love through. Oh, I offer this flame, every ounce of my best. My heart is on fire, and love is my quest. I am a dreamer, not the only one. I have swallowed the moon, and I sit on the sun. I'm a waterfall that can quench all thirst. Well, I will blow your mind so your give it all to you, and it burns with desire to let this love through. Oh, I offer this flame, every ounce of my best. My heart is on fire, and love is my quest. I saw an angel on a snowy night. He said, "Don't worry, child, it'll be all right. Peace, be still. This can be your voice, love or fear. It's your choice." My heart, oh, my heart is on fire. I give it all to you, and it burns with desire to let this love through. Oh, I offer this flame, every ounce of my best. My heart is on fire. My heart is on fire. My heart is on fire. And love is my quest.
Mention this, but I've been in India for the last couple of weeks, and I'm not exactly sure what day it is, but I'm wearing makeup and and a dress, so it must be Sunday. Every morning when I was in India, I was staying at this ashrami type place, and I would get up and leave my little room with the mattress that was this thick, and the bathroom that had some questionable features in it, and I'd go outside, and I'd go and I'd feed these cows with these big horns. If people saw that picture on Facebook, and then I'd come back and I'd have a breakfast of rice and vegetables and bean porridge. And along the way, I would run into people, some of the volunteers that were at the retreat center, and they would all say to me, "Kush morning, Bonnie Ji." Kush morning means happy morning, and Bonnie Ji means beloved Bonnie, or revered Bonnie. Kush morning, Bonnie G. So this morning I say to you, Kush morning, Congregation G. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I guess I really want to start by thanking all of you for allowing me to go. It was a really epic trip, and I learned so much, and I benefited on such a deep level from going, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without your support, so I really appreciate that. Not only the people that filled in for me, such as Reverend Judy Pando speaking, and Reverend Carol Lott speaking, and Annette and Barbie and Brock holding down the fort in the office, and the other volunteers, Jen, helping with various projects like the concert, but everybody, the practitioners praying for people, everyone just doing so much to support the congregation while I was gone, to support this organization. And then there's the consciousness, you know. I think I remember telling you before I left that the last time I worked with Nipun Mehta, who is I don't know how you describe him, but he is a kindness guru that speaks all over the world and is very well known in certain circles and has a lot of influence and power in a very humble way. And I went to an event that he had up in Northern California, and when I first went, I felt like I don't know why I had been asked. I felt like I didn't deserve to be there. And I remember telling people in the circle, I'm not sure why I'm here. You all have done some great stuff, and I feel that I should have at least eradicated homelessness or something before I came to sit in this esteemed circle. And this time, because of the spiritual work that we do in this community, where we are heavily interested, invested in the mystery of non-dual existence, where perfection and imperfection are kind of the same thing, where joy and sorrow are intertwined, where good and bad are two sides of the same coin, I felt completely confident being in this group with people that had done more than me or done less than me. I just felt completely grounded in the knowing of absolute reality and that everything was okay. So I've been on this journey with you for 14 years, and particularly the last 5 years or so, and I thank you for that. I thank you for teaching me, and I thank you for sending me off with that consciousness and that heart where I was able to receive so much. Speaking of non-dual existence and how there's really only one, I have various ways of explaining this. A lot of you have heard the story about the goat. I don't think I'll tell the goat story again. A lot of you have heard it. If you want to hear about the goat, read my blog. Not Daily Beloved, but the other one that's called Holy Chit, C-H-I-T, which means consciousness in Sanskrit. But if you've ever been in an airplane, you have some understanding of what absolute reality is. If you're in an airplane, right, and you look down and it's all cloudy, and you're like, wow, the people below us think it's a cloudy day, but up here the sun is shining. So which is it? Is it cloudy or is it sunny? Yes, exactly. Yes is the answer. It's both. And the clouds and the sun come from the same source, which is the absolute. So that's what absolute reality is. And when we can ground ourselves in that, the opposites don't seem so threatening. We don't cling as much to what is good, and we don't push away so much what we have named bad. So in this consciousness of absolute reality, I realized that I was in India because of the concept of untouchability. Untouchability, which is just a horrible concept. Many of you perhaps know about Indian culture, where years and years and years and years ago, I don't have the exact history down pat, but basically there's a caste system, or was a caste system, and the lowest caste was called the untouchables. And they were truly outcasts, not even allowed to be touched. And there was a man, the person who built the ashram where we were staying, his name was Ishwar Patel, and affectionately they call him Ishwar Dada, which is a term of endearment. So Ishwar Dada, when he was just a little boy, when he was 6 years old, he was walking around his grandmother's house and he picked up a broom. And his grandmother was horrified. She said, "You've touched a broom, now you're untouchable." And his grandmother decided that she was going to cure him of his untouchability. So she took off her gold earrings and she did some type of an incantation. She waved them over him. And she said, "Okay, that's fixed now. You're no longer untouchable." And you see what a story that is, right? And you see that it's also a lesson that perhaps we are making up similar stories about who is touchable and untouchable in our lives, and also what parts of our inner consciousness are touchable or intouchable. Is our grief, our doubt, our fear, our despair, our pettiness, our greed, is all of that untouchable, or is that something to be embraced and loved back into wholeness? Into the wholeness of the absolute that we all carry with us always, because that is who we are. I am remembering who I am means that I am remembering that I am part of the wholeness of all that is. So Ishwar Dada, when he had that experience with his grandmother, something clicked in his brain, and he said that he wanted to remove the stigma and the stain of untouchability and restore dignity to work. Now, I don't exactly know how he came up with this idea, but because in this church, we talk a lot about this thing called the third force. And the third force is where you have one affirming factor and one denying factor that seem like that they are in opposition to each other. And if you're able to hold the dynamic tension of those two factors and just sit with them and recognize them both and honor them both, then there is a great reconciler, a reconciling factor that joins them together somehow and comes up with something new, a whole new idea that would not have been discovered unless it were for the affirming factor and the denying factor in seeming opposition to one another. You can apply this to your own life in many, many, many ways. I do it all the time. With Ishwar Dada, he sat there knowing, okay, I don't think untouchability is right, but the whole society is saying that untouchability is part of the fabric of who we are. And so he sat there with that intention. And lo and behold, he had the idea to change untouchability by working in the field of sanitation. It's kind of ironic to me because, let me get really honest with you here for just a moment, like I'm not really honest all the time. Let me get really graphic with you, like I'm not really graphic all the time. Is anybody here for the first time today? Okay, all right. You'll catch on. You're okay. Okay. All right. So, much of last year, I'd say the last 6 months of last year, we were having an issue with people using the church and the ramp in particular as a bathroom, right? And that was the situation in India. That was part of the untouchability factor, is that the very poor people living in the slums would use the bathroom. They would defecate anywhere, right? Here we blend the sacred and the profane, right? I could go a little higher if I can get into the mud, so I'm getting in the mud right now. And the untouchables would have to clean it up, and they'd carry it in baskets on their head, and it would go all over them. And that was part of what made them untouchable. So this man, Ishwar Dada, decided that he was going to build toilets all over India. And he built hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of toilets with all kinds of different designs. He studied people's needs, and he built toilets all over the place. And then he started teaching classes in sanitation. And that moved into classes on other topics, on hygiene and health and disease prevention and education for the children in the slums on all kinds of things, like art, music, and the basic skills like reading and science and math. So this whole thing was born out of untouchability and the willingness to question it. And now he has this beautiful ashram. He has passed away since then, but his son, Jaish is his name, and he has continued his father's work. So there is this huge organization in the state of Gujarat of India that is dedicated to removing the stain of untouchability and restoring dignity to work. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And all of us, got to be part of that. Because I prayed for you every day while I was there. And I prayed that we might look at what seems untouchable in our lives and learn to sit with it and embrace it and allow the greater yet to be to come forth and reveal what our next step is. Not to eradicate untouchability, but to embrace it and to see what wonders are wrought from that. What wonders are wrought from that process of holding the dynamic tension, the opposites, the joy with the sorrow, the despair with the happiness, the guilt with the, what's the opposite of guilt? Freedom, whatever. Acceptance, thank you, yes. Peace, yes. Holding all of that tension of opposites, what is the result? I'll share with you something else that happened to me while I was there. When I was in India, I learned how to make these little hearts that we give to our newcomers, which was really fun. These are made by women in the slums of India, and that's a whole other story that I'll tell another time. It's too much to go into right now. Although I will tell you that they're much harder to make than they look. I was working with a woman who spoke no English, and I would do my little sewing, and I'd be like, and she'd go, And then I'd do another one, and she'd go, huh. So I kept trying, and I think I do it now, and we're gonna make them together. We're gonna have a sewing bee. I'm gonna teach. Thank you. I'm gonna teach Carol Lotz, who actually is a good sewer, and we're gonna learn how to sew together. Excuse me. But anyway, So I had just finished learning to make these little hearts, and I was with Nipun and Jaidish, who was the son of Ishwar Dada, and we were walking past a group of people as we were on our way to go to another workshop. And Nipun stopped me, and he said, I want you to meet this man. This man lived, he was an untouchable, and he lived in a public toilet for 12 years. That was his home. Now, when I was in the slums, and we were in the slums quite a bit, I had the extreme experience of using the public toilet, and let me tell you, it is not a good place to live. It is, I won't go into that. I'm not that graphic, just so you know. Okay. But anyway, he lived in a public toilet for years, and for some miracle of grace, he met Jaidish and was lifted out of this lifestyle and was trained in how to make brooms, and he was making brooms on the property of the ashram, tying sticks together to make these beautiful brooms that were really works of art. And Nipun told me his story, and I said, I would really like to meet him. I'd like to greet him in person. Is it okay if I shake his hand? And Nipun said, what you really should do, this is the sign of respect that we show to elders, is you should touch his feet. And so I went up to this man, and I knelt down before him, and I touched his feet. And I got up, and there were tears in his eyes and tears in my eyes. And I said, Namaste, thank you. And I had somebody translate into Hindi for me saying, I have so much respect for you, where you have come from and where you are now. You are a beautiful soul, and I appreciate you. And that all came from the transcendence of untouchability. The story is more beautiful because of the darkness. The light is more beautiful because of the darkness. Now, I will tell you that not everybody in India wants to have their feet touched. Because I did it once and it felt so good, so then anytime somebody was nice to me, I'd go to touch their feet and I'd be like, wait, come back. I think some people didn't feel like they deserved it. And then finally one time, Nipun just put his hand on my shoulder and he said, we kind of reserve that for elders. Probably because they can't get away. Sorry to any of you elders sitting out there. Oh. But if I could put a label on what happens when we practice in the way that I'm describing it, being willing to be in that state of non-duality where we hold the balance of darkness and light, and when we just allow it to infuse us and inform us from the inside out, and we allow that reconciling factor, which I have complete faith in the reconciler right now. If I didn't, I had a lot of faith in it before I went away, but now I am completely immersed in trusting and knowing that there is a reconciling factor in the universe that is always doing what it does. It grows the flowers, it grows the trees, it sometimes starts a fire, but then have you seen what's happening? Things are starting to green up again. I hear there's going to be great wildflowers this year. There is a reconciler in the universe that is always at work, and it is always at work for us. I have complete trust in it, and that complete trust brings us to a sense of unspeakable, unimaginable joy, and an appreciation of grace and awe and wonder, and a place of humble greatness. And I don't know about you, but I want to live there all the time. I want to live there all the time. So I think the way that we do live there all the time is that we awaken. We awaken to not only our strength. We talk a lot here about our strength and how beautiful and how wonderful we are. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. That's beautiful. But you know what? When I first started here, we had a larger teen group, and the teens used to sing, "You are the foot of God. I hold you in my sock." So we are not only the face of God, we are the everything of God. And we have to embrace all of it from top to bottom. Part of that involves looking at what brings you distress or despair or guilt or shame, and being willing to love that back to its purity, back to its original purity, because it arose out of purity. It arose out of purity to teach you and to awaken you. I had an experience while I was away with overcoming shame. Excuse me. One of the things that I've always been sort of prideful about is being prepared. Not that I'm prepared every Sunday, but I try. But particularly in music, when I was a musician, I always showed up prepared. I would feel like a bad person if I was not prepared. And I would judge other people who were not prepared. And why do you laugh, my friend? So while I was in India, Nipun found out that I knew how to sing, that I used to be a singer, which is a dangerous thing in his hands. I didn't do it on purpose. I was riding in a rickshaw with some people, and we were talking about the song that we sing at the end of the service, May Peace Prevail on Earth, and the person, Masami-san, who plants all of those thousands and thousands and thousands of peace poles all over the world in I don't know how many countries. Almost all of the countries, I believe, have a peace pole at this point, and many of them. Anyway, she was going to be there, and I was saying we should sing this song, and they were asking about it, so I decided just to sing it in a rickshaw. In Indian traffic, which is really interesting. But it came out okay, and one of the volunteers who was with us, an Indian man, said, "You're Julie Andrews." And I refrained from saying, yeah, Julie Andrews when she's got a bad hangover and hasn't sung for, not that I had a hangover. By the way, Gujarat is a dry state. It's a Gandhian state, so there's no alcohol allowed there. However, people find ways, I've heard. But anyway, another story. But so, that's how this place was. You would say one thing, and then Nipun would find out about it, and next thing you know, you're standing on the stage singing for a whole bunch of people, And I did it a couple of times, and that was another beautiful thing. Another beautiful contribution of this congregation was that I sang songs that we sing in this church that you have made come alive for me, so your voices were there as well, and it was beautiful. It was very touching to be singing, Listen, Listen, Listen to My Heart Song, or Love, Serve, and Remember, or Here I Am, a Vessel to Be Used, all of those songs that we sing, to be singing that in a cafe in a remote part of India with 40 people listening, and then later doing it on a DVD with 300 people listening. And it was an amazing experience. But then the final night came, the final night where we were inviting a lot of outside people to come to the ashram, and Nipun asked me to sing with this man who was a great guitarist. And I told the guitarist, you're such a great guitarist, the chords that I've brought don't quite work well for you, and why don't you just pick the songs, and I can learn anything, so just pick the songs, I'll learn them. And he picked these songs, and they were great, and they were simple, and they were easy, and I would sit down to sing it with him, and then someone would call me away. There was somebody that needed some Western medical attention. She was getting lots of Eastern medical attention, and I know about nursing and that type of thing, so she kept saying she needed to see me about some issues she was having. So I'd sing a song, part of a song, and then I'd be like, I'm sorry, she needs me, I gotta go. Sing a song, a little bit of it, sorry, she needs me, I gotta go. So I didn't really get a chance to practice it. And when we sat down to sing that night in front of all of these people, Fabrizio, the guitarist, bless his heart, he said, now I just want to tell you what a good sport Bonnie is, because she told me to pick the songs, and I'm like, yeah, in other words, I don't really know them. So I didn't actually know the tune or the words, and I couldn't see the words. So the songs, I don't remember them enough to even sing them for you, but I'll adapt one of the songs that we sing and how it came out. It was sort of like, I see joy and I see whatever. I see something and something else. Because I couldn't see the words, and I could sort of get the tune from the guitar. And it was so funny because I was so unprepared, and that had been such a source of shame for me in the past, but every time I said whatever or something else, the crowd was like, woo, woo, woo. So it became a source of joy, and I realized that maybe all of our sources of shame, all of the things that we are so despairing of, and all of the things that give us such guilt and such angst, all of those things have hidden within them a kernel of joy that is revived by something, that is uplifted by something. And the only way I know how to do that at this point is through prayer and meditation. And again, by holding this thing that you want for yourself. I would like to feel this humble pride in my work, and I feel so ashamed. Holding those two things together, and just allowing the reconciling process to take it, and to allow that greatness to be born from that, because greatness is born from that. So the name of this talk is, I think it's called What's New, right? What's new? To me, that's what's new, and it's not really new. You know, we've always been greatness. But I think what's new is that through the infusion of grace and inspiration and joy and love and community that we as a community received from me going to India and you allowing me to do it, I think we are stepping into greater greatness. That we truly can heal lives, not only our own lives, but that we can be this beacon of hope and love and joy in Ventura, that we truly are a center of love. We are a center of love. And it's not love like we know love. It's the love of the absolute that embraces all things. We are that center of love where we endeavor to understand love, be love, share love, serve love. That we are all of those things, and that we are this bright light shining in this world that sometimes seems troubled. And we can step into that with greater commitment and greater love and greater joy and greater peace and greater happiness. We can love one another. We can lift each other up. And as we lift each other up, our reach expands, and we reach up our community, our beloved community of Ventura, and then we reach farther and farther, the United States, the world, the universe. I really believe this for us. I believe that we are onto something great and that we are a great center. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, talking about, must have been like almost 10 years ago when I was up at Asilomar, which used to be kind of the summer retreat for people in our denomination. And I was one of the leaders of the program. I was the co-chair, which meant that I was on stage every day and speaking every day and emceeing every day and introducing every day in a very high-profile position. And several of our church members who were up there, after I would come off stage, they would fling themselves at me and they said, "You're going to leave Ventura, aren't you?" Because I was getting a lot of attention. And they'd say, "You're going to go try and hit the big time, aren't you?" And my response to them was, what if Ventura is the big time? I just got chills. I'm so glad you agree. We have so much power here, and we can do so much good in the world. Yes. Who was that, you? That's right. That's right. Karen Mitchell, our new staff minister. Yay, Karen. Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to close with one more brief story. You know, when I was talking before about the challenges that we were having with the sanitation around our center and with the people using the wheelchair ramp in particular as a bathroom, and how I've talked about how I realized suddenly that I wasn't frustrated with them. I was frustrated with my helplessness. And I made that joke about how I felt that I should have eradicated homelessness before I did that retreat that I did in Bolinas with Nipun. And there was a part of me when we were having a lot of issues with homeless people around the center that made me want to eradicate homelessness, not only for my feelings of helplessness, but just because it was so challenging. And that has all changed for me. I no longer want to eradicate homelessness. I want to embrace homelessness. And we already have a meeting planned where I'm meeting with Lucky, our outreach coordinator, and Brock, who has some ideas about how we as a community can start there. See, that was another thing I learned in India. When you go into the slums, it is overwhelming. It is absolutely overwhelming the way people live. I'll describe it in another talk at some point, but it's just overwhelming. And part of you wants to say, why even bother? Let's just give up. But you start someplace, and you take one small step after another, and that is the energy that changes the world. And we can be part of that. So let's start. Let's start today. That's what's new. All of us, renewed, invigorated, great, humble, beautiful, proud, humble again, because that's the most important part, and willing to serve love. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. How about a prayer? Sound good? Okay. All right. So I invite you as you pray to hold whatever tensions or concerns that you have in your heart, and hold that tension or concern with its opposite and just see what happens. Just see what happens as you gently observe what is so wrong and what is so right. And know that just like the clouds and the sun come from a source, that there is a greater source beyond what you feel is wrong and what you perceive as right. And just breathe into that awareness and breathe into that knowing. And know that this awareness, the ability, that place that sees opposites, that is the absolute. That is absolute reality. And so we move into the awareness of that absolute reality, and we name it. We call it our own. We say, this is who I am. This is what I am. I am that absolute that contains all possibilities. I am the void, which is also emptiness and fullness simultaneously. I am that which is and that which isn't. I am all things and all non-things. And so knowing from this place that there is only love, that there is only God, that love is the ultimate and absolute reality, let us take a moment to look at our lives and see what we might be calling untouchable, what seems overwhelming, what seems unfathomable, whether it's something personal or something global or something that's troubling us. We wrap that in the warm blanket of our embrace and trust that it is not bigger than God. It is not bigger than the absolute. It is not bigger than love. That love is the greatest thing that we have, and not only do we have it, we are it. And so we move deeper and deeper into that knowing, into that power, into that peace, and we allow it to guide our lives as we live as if this truth is true. I'm so grateful for this presence and for this power known as love, so grateful for this teaching, so grateful for our beautiful community that speaks it and hears it, that supports one another with such great love and such tenderness, such warmth and humor. And I'm grateful for all paths to God. Grateful for churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I'm grateful for the healing and uplifting that has occurred here today through our work together, not only for ourselves, but for all beings everywhere. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God. And I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
I started having this internal conversation with the universe, and I started writing down that conversation while I'm sitting there waiting on my car, and that conversation became this song that I'm going to sing for you, and it's called Soak Me Up, and it was the first song that I had wrote after returning to this West Coast, and at the end of the song I'm going to ask you to join me in singing, so prepare yourselves. Why the sad eyes open up? I got a big surprise. Stop your worry. Drop those weights, 'cause it's not too late to be free. The opinion of those who want to tell you what they know, it is a well-meaning note, but the song's all you, and it's time to go. Soak me up, take me in, where you stop. Oh, soak me up, yeah, soak me up. Wake up, let's go. Life's a rhythm, and I'm the flow. Stop Just feel me and catch my vibe. Oh, your mind is so cute. It wants a seatbelt and a parachute, but you are bigger than this. Spread your wings and find your bliss. Soak me up, take me in. Where you stop, oh, I begin. I'm the ocean, you're the cup. Don't listen to the rhythm of anyone else. Sing your song, sing it loud, sing it as yourself. You're a current, you're a beat, you're a ray of light. Look around, child, you have a right. Get ready to sing. Join me now. Soak me up. That's it. Soak me up. Great, keep that going. Soak me up. Soak me up. Why the sad eyes open up? I got a big surprise. Stop your worry and drop those weights, 'cause it's not too late to be